I'm really excited about today's topic and event. We have two fantastic speakers. Hanshi Dave Kovar has been putting the team on his back for the last month or so, running a lot of these coaching calls for us, which has been so awesome. And then we also have Matt Hogan, an integral part of the Master Ketchen schools in New York. So we kind of got both coasts, areas of the country covered. Between the two of them, they represent about 16 schools. So they're running lots of different belt promotions, have been at it for a long time, processing, how do you do that effectively with so many schools, with so many students across so many schools. So we're really looking forward to that. So if we could just start, Hanchi, could you take it away, sir?
I will. Super excited to be here. So many old friends on the line here. What I wanted to do is I wanted to cover, belt promotions done right. There's a lot of different ways to be successful in the martial arts world. There's a lot of different ways to do belt promotions, and I'm not saying the way that I'm gonna share with you is the only way because there's lots of different variations. But this has worked really well for us. We've been mindfully tweaking it for literally 45 years, and some people they still do like at the end of class they give award someone a rank and they don't actually have a formal belt promotion. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. If it's working for you, great. But you can take all these concepts and you can find a ways to work them into other events, open houses, etc. But I wanted to start out with an observation. I was just on the East Coast. I was at Satori Academy with Nancy Walzog that we started. It's actually our 20-year anniversary out in New Jersey, and I just was there and we did our kickoff and she's got 9 locations and they are killing it. They are killing it. There's obviously there's some schools that are doing really good and others are need a little bit more work. But if I was to sum up why she's doing so well, and by the way, the same thing applies to our schools in California, is that what we have become better at, not perfect, but by any stretch, still a lot of room to grow, but is really brilliant in the basics. Like all the stuff that's not sexy, all the stuff like making sure that you confirm appointments, right? Of course, great classes, that goes without saying, but worth saying. Make sure that you contact students that haven't been in. All the boring stuff, it's all the laundry. Doing laundry is not exciting, but you got to do it, right? But if we can just establish those habits, that's number one. Number two, the one of the things that we're better at and Nancy's organization is better at now is accountability, like holding each other to a higher standard. It's so easy to say you're going to do stuff and then not really follow through with it. And I look at this like if I teach a great class, that's great. That's important. I'm helping make the shape the world in a positive way. But if that's all I focus on and I don't do the follow-up call when they miss class or the remotivation when they're losing interest, I'm really doing that student a disservice. The class is just part of it. So I would encourage you guys to double down. Most of you guys have all the systems in place. You know what to do. It's just a matter of making sure to do what you know. But I want to focus today on belt promotions done right. So I have a list of points I want to go through. And for starting out, the very first thing to be thinking about is why do you do a belt promotion? And first and foremost, there's a bunch of different reasons. The first one I'm going to say is that I want the parents that show up to the belt promotion to be reminded about how great your program is. Okay, and first and foremost, every one of you has a mother and father that are divorced that have a child in your program, and one of the parents is very pro the program, and the other one isn't as excited about it. It's like, "Oh, I got to write that damn check again, right?" And let's just say you got this dad that really doesn't like writing the check. Okay, he's on the hook for it. Now I guess I gotta show up and watch Marcia get her orange belt. And he shows up in the stands and he sits down. You want that experience. You want them to leave an hour later going, "Wow, this is amazing. My daughter needs this. My daughter needs this. I get why we're doing this now, right?" And so that's step number one. So how, and I'm going to talk about how you do that in a minute. So that's one reason. Another reason is you want the children to be reminded about how much they love martial arts. Sometimes they don't, we try to make classes fun, but they're not always fun. Sometimes it's hard work. And every parent, if you put a GoPro on every parent's head when they're trying to get their kid to class, you realize how hard it is. The belt is somewhere in the other room, the gi pants are dirty, they're in the dryer, and all that stuff that comes into play. So once you get them there and they have a great class, man, you want them to leave that promotion going, "Man, I'm so lucky to do that." The next one is any but guests that show up. that that to show up either like what I would encourage you all to do is you send out almost like a high school graduation invitation that people could give to their friends to have come to the to a belt promotion, right? And so someone shows up to support their friend, or a parent shows up with their child to support their child's friend, and you want them going, oh man, I had no idea that martial arts included it contained all that, just like you would if you're doing a birthday party. So how do you do this? Okay, so that's how I look at what I want to have happen. What's my desired outcome when people leave a belt promotion? I want the parents recommitted to their training. Wow, this is so important. I want the children recommitted. By the way, the same thing if it's an adult student, of course, right? And I want anybody watching with a walk away thinking, wow, this is incredible. Yeah, I didn't realize martial arts was so impactful and so powerful. Okay. And so what's the key? So the first thing is to pack your school with family and friends. Okay. Now, how do you do that? So has anybody experienced to where getting adults to show up to bring friends to adult promotion is hard? Has anybody ever noticed, like if you have an adult student, like you have 10 adults being promoted, you're lucky if you have 4 people in the audience sometimes, right? But with a kid, you can have a ton of them, right? And so I think with the adults, one of the key things that we found really valuable is to encourage classmates to show up, right? That really to make it this social event, this bonding event. Hey, we're having a bell promotion this weekend. Make sure to all your adult students, make sure to attend. John's going to be promoted, and Marcia's going to be promoted, and come share, support them. By the way, if you have any friends that you ever wanted to see what's going on, bring them to this event. A lot of times, adults will bring people to other people's promotions more likely than they would their own. Okay. But also going back to how that you present this. If you make it a big deal, it becomes a big deal, and complete with invitations, announcements, etc. So the whole idea, our rule of thumb is that I found that usually for every one child that's promoted, you should be able to get 3 other people to attend. So if you have 20 people in a belt promotion, you should have 60 people in the audience. And by the way, we do a lot of mini belt promotions. So on the course of a weekend, we will do 4 different promotions. We'll do like Little Samurai, then we'll do junior, lower belt, junior advanced, and then adult. So we'll do 4 different events. And so like imagine it might be on a Friday or a Saturday. It might be 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, right? And what that does, that gives us time to be intimate with this group, and then not have it be so long that people are bored, okay? And then move on to the next group. So the next thing is to make sure that your school is ready. Like it's one of those things where you use this opportunity, and most of us do this, to where make sure that it's spotless, right? That you take this opportunity. You got a belt promotion going to be that people are going to be there for the first time, and then make sure that your students are ready. What do I mean by that? When you're doing a test, I look at a promotion different than a test. A test, you're going to find out where they're weak, what they're not doing well. That's your job, right? But for a promotion, you want to make sure that they show up, the kids look good. They know what they step out, and it doesn't have to be a long time, but they look sharp. And that's also when it comes to like the messages of the week with which you are sharing, right? So when you can raise your hand, like we'll do a little prep zone before belt promotion where the instructor will pull the kids aside. All right, the theme we've been talking about the last month is confidence, and we're kind of whispering amongst ourselves before the actual promotion starts. What does it mean to be confident? And you're preparing the kids. So now in front of the audience, when it started, okay, what does it mean to be confident? Kid raises their hand. They already have the answer. They look sharp. Mom and dad are going, wow, my kid knows that. That's pretty impressive. Okay. So make sure your students are ready, and then make sure your staff is ready. Here's what I see. If you don't zero base, if you don't remind people, your team will kind of huddle over in the corner and talk about the day, and maybe they're doing some work stuff. But man, people are starting to come in. We're all forward facing. Everybody on the team is out there meeting and greeting. There's new people. They're introducing themselves to Aunt Marcia, all that kind of stuff. So making everyone feel welcome, and they're reminded about the importance of making a really good first impression. So, and then the next one is put on a good show. And what do I mean by that? I think it's crucial for a good promotion to do a demonstration. By the way, it doesn't have to be. We happen to have like demo teams at all of our locations that will do a demonstration, right? And it's a great event for the demo team. Okay. And we also have our red and black attack, which is our team that is the best of the best from all our locations. And they're outstanding. They're world-class demo team, and they will rotate every month. They'll go to a different school. Okay. But the whole idea, why is the demo team important? So first off, um, when your demo team comes out and performs, the parents are going, wow, look at that kid is 3 years older than my son. I'd like him to be able to, he could look like that someday. The kids watching that are testing are going, whoa, that's cool. I want to be able to do that, right? So those are really powerful. Plus the kid doing the demo, that's a big retention skill. But here's another one that most people don't do. Then, and if you can remember to do this, how many guys would like to have more adult students in your program? I bet you pretty much everybody. And how many guys have a lot of parents of your junior students in your program? Well, this is the key. If your adults see a really cool demo with a bunch of young athletes, they're impressive. It's impressed, but that doesn't get them out on the mat because they can identify. Get the 40 pounds, 40-year-old housewife that's been training with you for a year, that's decent, and have them do some self-defense. Got that? Something that the people in the stands get the guy. He doesn't have to be your best instructor, and an intermediate level adult student to perform some stuff. Okay, so that people in the audience can identify with what they see. Now that's how it's going to happen. It's not from your elite demo team. Nothing wrong with the elite demo team, but that's not enough. Okay. All right, so now that's kind of some background. So I want to go through really quickly how we kind of set this up. So obviously, we start out, welcome the crowd, we'll do the wave, we'll focus clap, all that kind of good stuff. And then we're going to have the demo right out of the gates. Okay. And then after we do the demo, we're going to sit everybody down and we're going to talk about the values and benefits of martial arts, the life skills. By the way, a quick little side story. I have a student, his name is Chris. He's about 46 years old. He started with me 40 years ago. Now, by the way, he lives in Tennessee now. He hasn't trained with me for years, but I talk to him several times a year. He's a pediatric psychiatrist. That's what he does for a living. Okay. And he grew up in the dojo, like through college when he'd come home every summer and train all summer through grad school, the same thing through medical school, the whole thing. And he called me. We talk frequently. And last call I had with him, he was asking some questions about. He's got a child that he's coaching, that he's working with is a bully, and he knows we have a Done with Bullying program. We did a lot of research as to what goes into that. So he's calling me for advice about how to deal with his kids, which I thought was like, I don't know if I should be doing it. And then he goes, Mr. Kovar, I got to tell you, pretty much everything I learned in my practice as a pediatric psychiatrist, I learned on the mat from you and your instructors when I was a kid. And I thought to myself, oh, yeah, that's why I didn't become a psychiatrist, I guess. Just kidding. Right. Anyway, so the point is that those messages, guys, here's one other story. My son, who now runs one of our locations, he's 31 years old. So he is 7 years old. We're out at dinner. And our policy in my house is I never had soft drink soda in our house. It just wasn't there. But if we go to a birthday party and there's soda, I don't care. Have a soda. It's like every now and then, right? And so we show up to this restaurant and Alex says, can I get a Sprite, Dad? And he gets a Sprite. He sits down. He's about to drink a Sprite and he goes, Dad, can I get some water? And I go, yeah, sure. Why do you want water? He goes, because I'm really thirsty. And Sensei says when I'm thirsty, I have to drink water. I can't drink soda. That's for taste. And I go, oh, I wrote that script. Of course, he would never listened if it was his dad saying it. The kind of lessons you guys tell all the time, they hear that more than you think. And at a belt promotion, the chance for you to reiterate that. Okay, so super important. Of course, then we do a quick curriculum review. We make the kids look as sharp as they possibly can. And then we make a big deal about the actual promotion when they get their new belt and the responsibility. One of the things I'll say, with every new belt rank comes added responsibility. This is an absolute honor and privilege, but more than that, this is a responsibility. You represent your school, and et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, now everybody's pumped up. There's a great vibe in the school. That's when the call to action comes. Okay, especially if you have your adults did their demo as well. And by the way, if you have adults, if you want to grow your adult program and you have adults in the stands that also train, you might shout out somebody. You might, by the way, I want to take a moment to shout out that you see Bo, how well he did. Well, his dad, Brian, over there, he's training. By the way, stand up, Brian, wave your hand. You've been training for 6 months. And by the way, if anybody in the audience is thinking, man, I'd like to do this someday, you're never too old to do martial arts. Please, by the way, we have a special going on right now. Anybody wants to enroll, because you're a family member, you have 2 weeks and a uniform t-shirt available. Go see one of the instructors right after class. Okay. And then if you have the time, we don't do this often, but this is the cincher if you have it. If you can have time to have some hors d'oeuvres, some finger food after the event, people will stick around. And this is your chance to bond with them. Okay, to reenact, and this is your chance to meet people. Oh yeah, and just ask them, and always ask. Have you ever trained? If you're interested in training, let them tell you no. Don't assume. Don't take a look at them and think I'm not interested. Okay, because you've all had someone you didn't think it was interested that all of a sudden actually was interested. Then a couple other things that that we do that I think is super important is we do what's called a new belt orientation. So let's imagine you have a bunch of yellow, orange, and green belts being promoted. Right after we got the whole family there, we're going to say, all right, all the brand new yellow belts, get your mom and dad and go see Instructor Hogan. All of the orange belts, go see Master Herbster. And then we're going to break them up. And in that amount of time, what's happening is we're congratulating, but we're resetting goals. We're letting them know what to be expected over the next few months with the next belt rank. Okay. If there's a class transfer or anything you need, like for example, if you have a place where you go from one class to the other and all of a sudden they're sparring at the next level. If you don't pre-frame that right, that can be a real issue, right? And so you let everybody know, hey, man, you're going to need some gear when you're going to an intermediate class. And you guys remember when you first started, how were you one of the younger guys? Well, you're going to go into this class, and there's going to be a bunch of kids that are older and maybe a little more experienced. Don't worry about it. You'll be just fine. So you're pre-framing the process, okay? And then one other thing that we do, and most of you, this is an idea that's been around forever, is we always send out an intent to promote letter to students, young students, so that it's something that basically the teacher has to sign that says they've been a good student, and their parent has to sign that they've been a good kid at home, and that's been amazing as far as a retention booster. So that's kind of some big picture stuff. Now, some of you guys, I'm sure, have some great ideas that you're doing. I'd love to hear from you, and then maybe some questions. But before we do that, I want to turn the floor over. I'm going to ask Matt Hogan from Master Ketchens. And Mr. Hogan, how long have we known each other? 20 years, something like that?
I think that's about right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you always do such a great job, and you have a pretty masterful black belt promotion that you do. And would you mind taking a few minutes and kind of bringing us through that process?
Yes, sir. I would love to. And I just want to thank everybody for welcoming me into the space and the EFC team and obviously sharing the space with Mr. Kovar. I mean, I learned so much from you, like you said, over the past 20 years. So thank you for facilitating this conversation and for having me on today. I'm super, super excited. But yeah, and I think the best way to do it is to kind of walk through the entire process, give you guys a little bit of specifics as far as how we do belt promotions at Master Ketchens. So just, starting with before the black belt test itself, one of the first things that we do is pre-qualify students for their test. And this is such an important thing for us because we want to make sure that, as Hanshi Kovar is mentioning, we want to make sure that that day is a highlight day and it spotlights the students and they feel great and proud about their performances and they're excited about everything that's to come. And if that's going to happen, we have to do our job of pre-qualifying for that event before they actually attend the event. And so what we do for that is we make sure we keep the expectations at a level that Master Ketchen is comfortable with and train the staff to make sure that they do the right pre-qualification checks before the day of their graduation. And so this is something that gets instilled from white belt, right? And so all the way from white belt. So we're almost we're setting ourselves up for success for the black belt test on their first test. And that happens through these pre-qualifications. And so we use the tapes on the belt. I'm sure a lot of other people are using the same kind of a system. What we do is we use the tapes on the belt as a visual reminder for when the students should be getting benchmarked and checking in with them to make sure that they're obtaining the curriculum in a constructive way. So every 6 classes for us, they get a black tape. That's a signal for the instructor to benchmark them for one of their curriculum tapes. So on the one side of the belt, they get checked for their attendance and their consistency. And on the other side, they get checked for their understanding of the curriculum, making sure they're obtaining everything that they learned. And so they might get checked for their form or their pattern. They might get checked for kick punch combinations. They might get checked for self-defenses. But the goal is that every 6 classes, they're getting benchmarked. And then they get the second, black tape, they get their second benchmark, third black tape, third benchmark. And this is happening with the entire team. And so as we're benchmarking and we're pre-framing them to make sure that they know all the curriculum in a way that, we tell the instructors, if you had to make any, corrections or suggestions to them during that check, then that needs to be what they practice before they come back the next time, setting them up for that mindset of you just need to get them to come back one more time. And that might be the way to get them to come back that one more time. And so once they're pre-qualified and they have all the checks and all the instructors have signaled to the student that they have earned it, it gives them that boost of confidence, right? So that they feel comfortable in what they're about to perform, so that they then sign up for the test, they attend the test, and then they perform. The ultimate outcome for us is that at the end of that test, all the students feel proud of everything they did, and they're excited about what's to come. I mean, those are the 2 big things that come to mind for me. And it's not just the students, it's everybody involved. And you already alluded to this, Hanshi Kovar, that we're trying to make sure that the parents feel proud of what they just saw, and they're excited of what's to come. The students feel that way, and the instructors feel that way. And there's many different strategies that we deploy to try to make sure that everybody's feeling that. As you already alluded to, I'll just a couple talking points based on what you mentioned. At the very beginning of our test, we do a formal introduction. And this is a formal introduction where we welcome everybody to the graduation. Like you said, we're trying to pack the house. We're trying to make sure everyone brought their friends and family. We're trying to make this an ordeal. And so at that initial conversation point, we're trying to make sure that we're preaching the benefits of the program. We're letting everybody know during the past 3 months of training, we're going to highlight for you all the best that these students have practiced. And we're so excited to show you all the things they're going to be doing today. Not only are you going to see how well they've, obtained the memorization of their new forms, some dynamic kick punch combinations, and some really cool self defenses, but you're going to see the kids demonstrate really high level confidence, focus, and respect. And we really double down on those character development traits, especially for the junior classes. And of course, for the adult program, it's a little bit of a different conversational pitch. But the idea is that we open our test with that, reinforcement of what the values and benefits are. And then we go into the graduation itself, starting with basics, starting with fundamentals, making sure everybody can get into a rhythm because everybody's going to feel a little jittery. Everyone's going to feel a little, certain kind of way. Then we get into the meat of the curriculum. And again, going back to this point of how can we make them feel proud about what they just did, we're trying to make sure that during the test, not only are we demonstrating the shell of the curriculum that we want them to perform at the test, but we're looking for opportunities to plant the right seeds for the future. And so we have the high belts, the highest ranks of the test, demonstrating the curriculum that's to come for the lower belts that are performing with them. We have our demo team. What we do is instead of opening the test, we have solos or spotlight performances. And what we do in this way is we have some of our top performers come in and they'll do a solo performance to showcase, hey, next cycle, you guys are going to be learning this weapon. Here's a demonstration from one of our guys to show you what that weapon looks like. Or we'll have, solo performances highlighting the best of, you guys just did a bow form. This is how far you can take it if you keep training and working it. And you have these seeds being planted. And not only that, but again, to your point, Hanshi Kovar, we also make sure that we're spotlighting and we do solo performances for the students at the test itself. And so we're trying to look for like students that aren't 20 steps ahead of these guys, but we're looking for students that are just one step ahead so that it can plant a seed that it makes it a little bit closer in proximity. So for example, if we have a white to yellow belt test, right? So just as like a basic graduation, rather than have a second degree black belt come out and demonstrate this high level acrobatic performance, that'll be really cool for them. They'll love it. But we also might choreograph a super basic, board breaking routine for this yellow belt, right? Who has just been an all-star A student, somebody who's just earned this opportunity to perform. And um, just making sure that everybody has an opportunity to see that next step as it's kind of alluded to, like one step ahead of them. So the proximity is super key to us. And so that's a little bit of a gist as far as like how we can build the pride and the excitement in the test. Of course, after the test, when everything is concluded, one of the things about our graduations is that Master Ketchen in person attends all these events, which is a phenomenal and incredible opportunity for the students. It's how he stays in touch with the quality of the curriculum and all this kind of stuff. So he's very involved in the graduation process. He's able to provide the values and benefits and insights and reinstate everything that maybe the instructors mentioned throughout the test. He's able to plant the seeds and say, man, I remember that guy that just ran your test. He was a white belt just like you were. I remember him. It was 20 years ago and he was sitting there on the ground and that's going to be you one day. And he's planting seeds, right? So all this excitement is being built. And then at the end of the graduation, what we do is we obviously give the students, certifications. We give them their belts. And then of course, what we try to do is find moments to shout them out. So we look for spotlight opportunities. And for example, what we might acknowledge is, graduating to yellow belt and now the highest rank in their class is this person. And so if it's like a white to yellow belt class and this yellow stripe is moving up to yellow belt, I'll acknowledge that this is the new leader of that class. Or if a yellow belt's going to green stripe, which is into a different class for us, then I might acknowledge and moving up into a new class is this person. And so we have this formal acknowledgement of them graduating into the intermediate program. If a student reaches the halfway point to black belt, we make that a big deal. Some of our locations will give an actual certificate and acknowledgement saying you're now officially halfway to black belt. If a student is moving up into one of our Black Belt Club or Masters Club programs, they get a formal presentation and acknowledgement. If we have a student that's getting ready to test for their black belt or is getting ready to test for their degree in the next 6 or 12 months, we make that acknowledgement at the end of the test, and it feels very much like a graduation ceremony where we acknowledge, we call every person by name, they come up, they shake hands, they get the certificate, they get the belt, they get the acknowledgement, the extra presentation picture, the celebratory moment, all of that stuff. And so this is happening every step along the way. This is happening every step along the way from white belt all the way up through their high, the highest degrees in our school. And then the black belt test is very simply it's a heightened version of all of that. And I can go into more detail about all of those, but I thought that just going through these specifics of how we run the graduations from white belt is how we prep the black belt test to be so successful and so powerful and dynamic. And there's a lot of things we do to really add a lot of spice and dramatic, or drama, I should say, to the performance. And I can go into that in detail, but I know we were aiming to keep this to about 10 minutes. So that's a little bit of an overview, and I'll pass it back to you.
So great stuff. A couple things that I want you guys to be aware of that I picked up right away is how intentional they are. You guys got that? Like everything has a reason, and it's the old cutting off the hens off the hand story. Are you doing the promotion just like you've always done it because that's how you've always done it? And to take the time that you just heard Master Hogan talk about, like they do this and this is the reason why they do this. And I'll tell you what, when the why is really clear to your team, they're more likely to do it as well. Okay, and so really having like an incredibly clear cut system. So if I was to assign you a homework assignment, it would be to take a look at how you do belt promotions and what do you do right now that you do really well, that you absolutely guard, and what are some things along the way that really aren't necessary or you can improve upon it to where you can have an event that's so intentional like what you heard. And by the way, Master Hogan, all the shout outs you do, so incredibly important. Like, I'd like to think I do a pretty good job of, noticing someone's good, when they do a good job. But when you're intentional, like you're looking through the list and you realize, oh, I need to make sure to give a shout out to this person, it becomes more of a system, right? And I want to remind you guys, as everybody becomes more real, heavily involved with artificial intelligence, you understand we are the yin to that yang. You guys got that? As people become more and more used to doing things on their phone and online, they're going to crave, they might not even know it, but they're going to crave human interaction. And that's something that's going to make us, I think, more relevant than ever, especially if we really do it on purpose, right? So really good additions, great points there, Mr. Hogan. So at this time, before questions, I want to do, first off, Mr. Coquinos, thank you a ton for just kind of leading this organization and letting me, be a part of this. It's been 35 years we've known each other, and always excited to see, everything that's going on. But I also wanted to turn the floor over to Mr. Simpsons for any announcements. Then if you can turn it back to me, Mr. Hogan and I will maybe answer some questions regarding this. And by the way, would love to have feedback because I know we got a bunch of sharp people here. I'm thinking of Sifu Luigi. He's probably done hundreds of promotions. I'd love to hear something that he might do, right? And Bill Taylor, the list goes on and on. But go ahead, Brian Simpson, go.
Yeah, thank you, Hanshi, and thank you, Matt. Really fantastic presentation. While I'm going through some of our announcements, just be thinking about some questions or things you would like to share with the group, because these sessions are only as good as what we bring to them and how we contribute the questions we ask. So please be thinking about that, because that's what makes for these meetings to be so effective and potent and good. Um, okay, so we have quite a few guests on the call, as well as some EFC clients. And so if you're wondering what the heck is EFC and you respond to our ads or you saw some of our marketing promotion to get on this call, in a nutshell, EFC's been around for a long time. We've been around technically for actually 58 years. We weren't a tech company 58 years ago, but we were serving the martial arts industry. And now we're a software company. And we think of ourselves as a total growth system. So a one-stop shop, everything you need to run your school, from getting prospective students in the door and then nurturing them along to hopefully ultimately getting to black belt, or at least having a delightful student experience, so that we're raising the standard and we're leaving our communities in a better place than we found them, which is what you all do when you have students engage with your program. So our main pillars are: we provide from game prospects to black belts. We provide advertising, social media advertising, lead generating websites, student management software, nurturing them along the way with all the communications and belt promotions and tracking, and then payment processing. So those are the tools that we provide. And then, as apropos or relevant to today, community and education, which is what you all have partaken on today with this call. We also have some really great events, which is my segue to my second and kind of final announcement, which is that well, it's a two-parter. One, mark your calendars for February 11th, next month, for we're going to have another call. The subject and the topic is going to be spring into action, grassroots marketing that fills your mats. So recruitment heavy on that one, getting students on the mats. Again, that's February 11th, 1 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday. That's a Wednesday. Second, kind of part two of that announcement is that we're so delighted to be collaborating and working really closely with the Kovar organization. For EFC members that have been around for a while, you will remember the X Factors or our regional events that we would hold throughout the year. Well, we're bringing that back essentially, and we're doing that this year by working with the Kovars, who have an incredible existing a regional kind of cadence to their events. We just had one this past weekend in the Sacramento area, California. Had 70 school owners and instructors there. It was an amazing weekend. And we have two more coming up just within the next couple of months. So we have one February 21st in Hurst, Texas, if that's a convenient place for some of you guys, if you want to make the trip. And then for our East Coast inclined people, we've got March 7th, Milltown, New Jersey. And if you look in the chat, we're going to drop a registration form. If you're on the call, if you're an EFC client, or if you're a friend of EFC and you're on here, we're going to comp those tickets so that you can participate in an area that is most convenient for you. And so we're really excited about that. Links are in the chat. Hanshi, if I could just put you on the spot, why should someone show up to these to an in-person event like this?
I'll
Like
tell you.
who's going to get the most out of it?
Well, I think a lot of people could answer that because I'm looking on the line here. I'm seeing so many people I've seen at in-person events at EFC for the last 35 years. But I'll tell you, it's two things. Our goal always is to leave people. First off, it's nice to have a community, to be around other people that do the same thing you do, but leave people with a renewed sense of appreciation for how cool it is, how lucky you are to teach martial arts, and then a chance to brainstorm a network so everybody leaves with some action items that are realistic, and time tested and proven, not just concepts, but stuff that actually, that actually work. Like one of the things that we're able to do is we're able to take, our schools are kind of like the laboratory, right? We try everything. The stuff we talk about at our events is stuff that's actually working in our locations. And so it's one of those things. Is it a pain in the rear? By the way, Hurst, Texas is basically Dallas, in case you're wondering, right? Is it a pain in the rear to get out there and spend a couple of days? Of course it is. But I promise you, if you go, you'll leave glad you did. And same with, I know a lot of people are, you guys are more East Coast centric. Is it going to be challenging to find your way to New Jersey? Maybe. I promise you, you're not going to go as far as I did to get there, right? But it will always be worth it. So, so many people come up with all kinds of reasons like, that day, oh man, I was going to, who knows? But, some excuse that may be legitimate. But when you decide, hey man, I want 2026 to be my best year ever. You got it. The thing is comfort can be challenging. If your school's doing okay and you're paying the bills, it's easy to kind of sit in that comfort zone, and nothing wrong with that comfort zone. But I'll tell you what, sometimes we need the courage. You can't have courage and comfort. You need the courage to kind of say, all right, I want to get to the next level. And part of that is showing up at an event like this and really dropping your guard and being open and receptive to input. And if you do that, I promise you leave with a full cup and the motivation and action items to get to the next level.
And we just want to see you guys there. So please do it. Can't wait to see you all. Sir, I think we can hit it back to you for some question and answers for both Dave and Matt. And this is an open forum, so please don't be shy.
Okay, you can either raise your hand or give that little thing that you do with the hand raise, or just shout out if someone has a question or a comment on something. I'm gonna pick on Sifu Luigi because give me some thoughts, man. Either what you do or what you pick up today.
First of all, thank you for this session. You guys were awesome. You and Master Hogan. All the information that you guys have been talking about, it's pretty much the way that we've been doing it for a while. Like you said, we use we use the events for for PR, to get in contact with the parents, and it's exactly what you said. All the parents tell us, how great it is because we don't allow viewing in our school, parent viewing. We have lounges in the back for parents. So when the test comes around, it's a really big thing for them because they haven't seen their kid do a test for like 2, 3 months. And we do it exactly like you said. I have the juniors one test, followed by the juniors two, and then followed by the adults test. And exactly like you said, the adults test is always dead. There's nobody
Right,
here.
right.
They do not want to see, they don't want anybody to see them testing because adults are just embarrassed, if they do something wrong or if they're nervous. But we have been without, when you said that, that was perfect because we have, one time I just saw that we had like maybe 8 people watching an adults test, which is a lot. That's a huge amount. But we looked and they were all students. So then we said, hey, let's just tell students to come and watch a test. So we've built it on that. Now we have 15, 20 people coming to adults test. And it's exactly what you said. We just mention it to them because they're not going to bring anybody else, but other students will come to support. It's a great time to speak directly with the parents. And we have exactly 10 minutes in between tests. And those 10 minutes, me and Al just go out there, take pictures, speak to the parents, tell them how great their kids are. And I think that's a great time to solidify the relationship with the parents. Any questions that they have, anything like that. The one thing that I did get out of everything that would be new, I've always believed in demo teams, but I don't have a junior demo team. I have an adult demo team that always does demos for our black belt graduations in the kids and in the adults. But now, because of this, I already have like 4 to 5, sharp kids in my mind that I'm going to approach about if they would like to be doing demos on the test, because that would be even better for the adults, for the parents to see a kids, like you said, when you see kids doing it, it's like my kid's going to be that someday.
Mhm.
So that's one thing that I got, but I'm forever grateful always. And all my friends that I'm seeing, everybody here from Bill to everyone that's on here, it's, great friends. And that's the thing about EFC. And one last thing that I want to say. I told you when I saw you at the EFC that I would be at the next Kovar meeting, the one that you do in Jersey. And man, it's when I'm in LA for the Inosanto camp. It's the same time I fly back from LA on the 9th. So unfortunately, I won't be able to make it. But
We'll get you.
you're absolutely right. I've been to those before, man. And anybody who has not been to those meetings, they're truly amazing. So I highly recommend everybody to go. And it's wonderful seeing everybody that I saw in the summit. And I hope to see you guys at the next one too. Thank you.
Very cool. I'm going to ask Professor Randy McElway, how are you, man? Good to see you. Give me a takeaway from today or a comment or something you either picked up today or that you do that you wanted to let everybody know about.
Great to see you, sir. So, really, one of the best things I heard mentioned there, and we've been doing this for 20 years now at our academy, is we've used a number of different practices that you guys have showcased today. And the big takeaway I got was a reminder of how great it is to do those in-person events for EFC. Over the last 20 years, we've taken most of our best practices from somebody connected to EFC or one of those EFC events, and it's always been, top notch and beneficial for our academy.
Outstanding, outstanding. All right. Other questions before I start calling? Yes, Master Daniel, good to see you, man. Last time I saw, I think was at a funeral, right? Yeah. So this is a
Yeah,
better. What's
un-
going on?
unfortunately, great stuff. You made me kind of think about something I forgot. It was on my to-do list, and the idea popped in my head. I've sometimes when we go to our kids' functions at school, like not an assembly, but an award, they hand us little paper programs with
Yeah,
what's going on and has all the kids' names on it and things like that. And I was thinking that's something I want to implement now because nothing complicated, something simple. Just this is what the demonstrations are. Maybe give a little more meaning to the demonstrations and then have the people that are testing their names on the back.
I'll tell you what, I've never done that, and I absolutely love the idea. I love the idea. Any kid that sees their name in print on something, or any mom, if your kid sees their name there, that's a big deal. You don't throw that thing away. You keep that. It ends up
Right.
in their scrapbook, and then you get a little chance to, highlight what the message of the week is and what this and that. I don't know, guys, that's a keeper. That's a keeper. Great, great. That's called synergy right there. Right? You hear one thing and you interpret it in another way for something
Yeah.
that's better. Very
So
cool.
thanks for
Good.
sparking that.
Yeah, I think that's a total keeper. Elizabeth Sandoval, are you Hillary's daughter by chance? Any relationship? No. Okay. Well, what'd you pick up today? Anything? I'm putting you on the spot. Sorry, I caught you off guard. You're on mute. It's okay if you actually you're okay. You're still on mute. You had it for a minute. No. Come on, you're young. You're supposed to get this figured out. You're still on mute. It's us old guys that have a hard time with that. We'll get back to you later. You're still on mute, but good to see you. One more person. We could go on and on, but Luis Hurtado, you've been doing this a long time. Give us either a takeaway or an addition. Something you learned
Well,
today. Something that that we should be hearing from you.
well, sir, just as usual, listening to you is always very inspiring, and I enjoy being on this with you. And I see you sometimes throughout the year as well, which is a cool thing to do. But basically, as you spoke about the promotion day or spotlight days, it is so important to get out there and you have to. It's a PR day, and we definitely share it with all the parents and all the students who are there, like what their future is going to be, what the progress is going to be, because also as in our dojo, I find that students train on different days. So it's amazing how sometimes within 6 months or 7 months at promotion days parents first meet each other and don't even know that their kids are training at the same dojo. So it's a very fun thing to do to get them together and introduce each other and so on and so on, and at the same time start getting some more adults into the program. Just one short thing. It's also a great way that we use it for our retail because on that day while I'm doing all my talking, I am also talking, hey guys, now you're getting the blue belts. All my blue belts, raise your hand. Okay, guys, you notice everybody else has got their blue gis on. So please see Miss Misty in the front area and you get your discount today. Boom, boom, boom. So we also get a nice boost with our retail on that day because of our conversation. Yesterday, for the first time, I started a certification day. Basically, the way it works out is this. We usually give out the belts and certificates on the same promotion. We held back on the certificates. And what we did is we scheduled another day, it was a couple of weeks after, and what we did is we got together with a pizzeria that's basically right around the corner from us. We got a really great deal. We partnered up with them, and we had close to about 150 people attend certification day at the pizzeria. I took care of all the pizza and the refreshments, but it was such a great PR conversation situation, that an event that we had, that it was worth the $250 that I paid to have the 150 to 175 people show up. Free pizza and everything. It was just a bonding no uniforms, no nothing. Everybody just bonding and having a great time.
I'll tell you, encourage socialization. So the more you can find ways to get your people together and parents to know each other, they're going to stick around longer. So important. Tom Clifford, last thought on this.
Well, as a practitioner and as a school owner, as a parent with kids in the program, the whole thing's a royal pain in the ass. And I mean that sincerely, but it's worth it. And we have an opportunity to orchestrate an event that reinforces the fact that it's worth it. It's worth the inconvenience and the discomfort and the sacrifice. We can really, during belt exams, if that's going to be one of the few times parents are going to experience their children in the program, we've got to capitalize on that opportunity. We have to orchestrate a peak experience where emotionally they see their children fulfilled, because within a week or two there's going to be a conversation about, I don't feel like doing this anymore, I don't enjoy it, and I want to quit. But at the exam we get to demonstrate the fact that they do love it, that they do enjoy it, that they have this peak experience. And the belt exam anchors that in. So I think it's a phenomenal opportunity to reinforce that not only in the student, not only in the child or the adult, but in the person who's observing it. You know, they can see with their own eyes that their child's having an overwhelmingly superior experience.
Love
And
it.
that's what I think belt exams afford us.
Love it. So hopefully you guys got some ideas. I want to leave you with a thought, okay? And
Hanshi, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Lizbeth, are you ready? Are you ready? Do you have something for
oh,
us?
Elizabeth's unmuted. Yes,
Okay,
takeaways from today, ma'am.
finally.
Give
So
us a
yeah, I
takeaway.
actually find that it's very interesting how you say to send a letter. I don't. We've been doing the letter, but just like welcome them, not
Yeah,
for the promotion. We do have a letter for the promotion, but we don't send it. So I thought that would be nice if I start doing it for the testing day.
very cool. Very cool. Try it and then measure, see what the results are. Good deal. All right,
Nice.
Yeah.
guys. Well, my thought was, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. John Kokinos to just to kind of close us out. But there's one of the five spirits of Bushido is Shoshin, and Shoshin roughly translated means beginner's mind, and the explanation in a expert in a beginner's mind there are 1,000 options. In an expert's mind there is but one, which means over time we tend to be closed off and less receptive to input. And I'm looking on it right here. I'm seeing people have been doing this for a really long time, and some of you guys are newer. And those of you that have been doing it for a while, man, you have to make sure you keep, to quote Nick Kokinos, tap the pencil. And like, how can I do this better? And I think if you spend a couple hours being really intentional with your belt promotion, okay, and really trying to tweak it for the right reasons, then only good stuff will happen. So thanks for being on the line. I'm gonna turn the call over to Mr. John Kokinos to take us home.